Good morning. Welcome to the No Way Jose podcast. This is the Morning Dump. I am your host, Jose Galison, and this is the kitty of the day, Sushi. She's a cute little black girl. She's a sweet little darling. Now, if you like seeing more of if you'd like to see more of these kitties, and if you want to see more of my hot takes, Monday through Friday, typically, at 11 a.m. Eastern here on The Morning Dump, or you can come into the call-in show on Tuesdays at 9:30 p.m. Eastern, and also check in for some of my more topic-driven episodes. But with that, enjoy the show and hit the subscribe button if you want to see more. Love you all. See you in a bit.
Beautiful thing right now.
Rise and shine. It's a beautiful day. I'm alright.
About a third of the building has been blown away.
This is the bridge to the white light.
Our very freedom came under attack in a series of deliberate and deadly terrorist acts.
And at that point, we were taken for another round of questioning, this time related to our allegedly being members of Mossad.
Crazy evil.
Good morning. What is up, people? I'm still getting the hang of how to smoothly do the kitty of the morning, or the kitty of the day segment, I guess you could say. The intro, the bumper, the kitty bumper. But I think, I don't know, it seemed to be positively received, so we will keep doing it so long as I have kitties to show. But what is up today, guys? It is October 29th, Wednesday. I've had a good morning so far. I got my breakfast in, got a workout, went for a run last night, so no run this morning. But yeah, feeling good, feeling wide awake, ready to dig into some information with you guys. Hope you guys have had a productive morning. If you have, we're going to continue that trend. If you haven't, we're going to get started on that. Today, we're going to go through, obviously, we'll have our normal little icebreaker type stories that we start off with at the beginning, but then we'll go into foreign policy, of which there's some notable stuff going on there. Obvious, for those who have been paying attention, we are in, I believe, it might be over 100, I think, people dead in the past 24 hours, so we're back to old Gaza numbers, so we will dig into that. I think it's safe to say the ceasefire is broken, but I don't know. We'll get into that, get into some of the more of the details. I have for the titled topics, we have Kirk killers missing Bussy, but obviously that's kind of a Kirk, a few different Kirk stories, but mainly, I guess you could call it a little bit of a follow-up of our coverage from on Twigs from yesterday. But we're covering Lance Robinson's little boyfriend, his little, supposedly they say trans boyfriend or whatever. But I guess he's missing, is what the current, what everyone's saying. So I don't know, we'll dig into that article. We'll kind of form an opinion together. And then also the trans admits killing plot. So we have the Valentine's Day shooting thing. A lot of people, you guys have probably forgotten about this one, but it was kind of a big deal a while ago. So we'll kind of reevaluate that with fresh eyes and see if maybe any of that glows. I will say cursorily looking at it, but without having dug into it, yeah, it looks like it might. And then MKULTRA USA, that was kind of that's what I'm calling that, like, last grab bag topic that kind of leads into, I kind of want to talk about, like, the ubiquitous side of MKUltra in kind of how people get manipulated in the media and kind of, I don't know, COVID, and I don't just how they can manipulate it in a ubiquitous kind of everybody sort of way, or subtlety, or with subtlety. And then also we're going to go to the other side of it in the more focused, horrid, like beyond like obvious, and we'll be talking about Leonard Lake and Charles Nigg. I think we'll dig into those two, that duo. They were a serial killer duo, and that's a little bit of an inside look, I guess. I'm getting ready to probably do an episode on them, but I figured part of this show is an info dump, so hey, we'll use it to kind of do homework, and I need to dig through some of that stuff. So we'll look over their Wikipedias together today, kind of get the official narrative, and then I'll give you guys kind of a program to kill summation here in the next few weeks, unless you're a patron, and you'll get it earlier. So working on maybe trying to go for maybe some more, 30 to 45 minute long content that's more like short summations and more solo. So it's less. I've done lots of conversations, and I do lots of like call-ins and stuff like this, where it's like stream of thought and interacting with you guys. But I haven't done a whole lot of like presentations, so I want to work on developing that skill. I did that with my Ian Watkins episode that came out recently. That one I'll say probably was a little bit rough, but was my first outing in a while. So I'm gonna start working on that more. So. Expect that today, patrons, and then the poors, you'll get that in a few weeks. But yeah, so we have plenty to go through today. So yeah, we'll do a little bit of a dig into some weird odd serial killers in our annals of American history. Talk about trans killers from today, and then talking about some Kirk killing stuff. But let's go through some introductory kind of icebreaker topics, do a little bit of fun, more general population type content, and then we'll say our good mornings. I haven't forgot about you good people hanging out there. Make sure as you pop in, you're hitting that like button, help a brother out. Helps other people find the show, and we can grow together, and together us retards are strong. But all right, let's go through some of the initial stories that I thought were worthwhile going over. I did think it was yesterday. I think it might have been on the morning dump we were talking about this. I was talking about kind of my man crush, I guess you could say, on Ryan Grimm, and this is, for those who aren't aware, he's one of the hosts of Breaking Points, so kind of forms out that group. He's kind of like, I think, like a center lefty, progressive-ish sort of type, but I just have always found it, like, since I've been watching that show more recent, the last like 4 months or so, I've just really I really like the cut of his jib. And here's an example of such. I thought you guys would get some funny out of this. This is Jason Palladino, some account, saying, "This website is so funny, you just can't get this on another app." And there is an interaction between Ryan Grimm and this Vincent Rinaldi type, which I'm not sure. I think I saw the original post before. The original post doesn't really matter here. But this guy says, Ryan Grimm is a Nazi. It's always okay to punch Nazis. And then Ryan Grimm, try it and see what happens, which is, for those who understand Ryan, know Ryan, know why that's so, it's just such a funny, that's kind of, you could see him delivering that coolly. And then Vincent Rinaldi says, I'll rip your toupee clean off, Ryan. It's going to happen. Sorry for the audio audience. This probably falls on flat ears. There definitely is a visual component of this that makes it great. This is the guy directing threats to Ryan Grimm, which I'm sure is probably like a nobody size account if I had to guess. And then you have Ryan Grimm engaging with him, being like, try it, buddy. And he's an absolute nobody. I don't know, just funny to me. These are the sort of things that, I don't know, I scroll across on Twitter, and these make my day as opposed to all the news stories. All right, on to kind of, I guess, still sort of in a similar vein of a hilarity. Here is the top comments on YouTube from Tucker's interview with Fuentes, and I just think it's, I don't know, a little bit of a display of what's I don't know, just the craziness of the world we're living in. I'm kind of here for it. We'll read them. There's like over 25,000 comments here, but here are the top ones. Virgo 4200 saying, I'm black and I changed my smoke alarm batteries to watch this, with almost 6,000 likes on it. On just that comment. Then we have someone saying, I canceled my trip to Israel to watch this. Over 20,000 likes on that one. Benjamin Netanyahu stopped bombing Gaza to watch this. Over 7,000 likes on that one. I'm a rabbi in Israel and I stopped spitting on Christians to watch this. Almost 2,000 on that one. I canceled my Daily Wire subscription to watch this. 17,000 on that one. And I'm a Jewish American. I stepped over a nickel to watch this. 2.7 thousand on this one. So the kids are all right. The kids are killing it. The kids are funny. I'm here for it. And I don't know. I think it also displays a power that is being tapped into that is interesting. I don't know what to make of it. Whether it's, I don't know. These are both characters that I have been suspicious of their glowiness. And now they have merged forces. So, I mean, they have kind of been in this game of like at odds, and now they've joined forces. So I don't know how to feel about it. I don't know. Well, time will tell. But moving on, let's I think this was in Hebrew. I realize the audio is being fucky right now. So before you guys yell at me and go audio's out, it's in Hebrew anyway, so it doesn't matter. So you guys can see it, but I'll go ahead and read this. Here's another story. This is the Rabbi Shmuel Eliyahu, the father of the minister of heritage, which is Amike Eliyahu. So this is a father of one of the leaders, or one of their cabinet members, one of their major cabinet members, one of the leaders of their nation. This is the father, who is a rabbi. So you would think it'd probably be a pretty notable person, if I could guess. The father of one of the cabinet, the leaders of the cabinet. Here's what he had to say. I'll go ahead and read this to you guys. Therefore, each of us, whether you're a civilian or if you're a soldier, a police officer, a Shin Bet, or Mossad agent, it doesn't matter who you are. If you see them and you have seen the smallest legal excuse in the world, empty 2 magazines on them, not just one. That's how you save lives. And honestly, I want to suggest to them, yes, all those terrorists who see this video, that they run away from here on the first flight they can. Don't stay here, because we will hunt you down. We won't leave a single one of you alive. Not even one will stay alive. Wretched, vile murderers, you've betrayed the Quran. You've betrayed God's word. You will not stay alive. You have been warned, and I call on everyone. Share this video with everyone so that these people will not have a life here. That will be a bit of comfort to the families whose sons were killed, murdered by these vile people. So, yeah, he asked me to share it, and we are. So we will all form our opinions accordingly based on this. All right, I got one more for you guys. Let me fix the video real quick, and then we'll get it up. Here's liberals doing what they do. Let's check out this one. This is, and I've actually been guilty of watching this show once or twice. There's sometimes a few good clips. This is Jennifer Welch. I don't remember what show. It's some girl boss. It's like her and another girl. They kind of imagine like the weird Funhouse Mirror, like opposite of like, I don't know, bro podcast, I guess you could say. It's her being pretty spicy, but like an old sort of boomerish or whatever she is. So I don't know. It's kind of fun, kind of entertaining at times, especially when they're right. But she does seem to strike me as a bit of a deranged lefty loon. But I've had this shared. One of you guys, Marjan, a trooper, a top tier dumper, has shared this with me, and so I don't know. I wanted to go through this. This is one of the liberal podcasters. Apparently, she's saying that according to Colin Rugg, what he's saying, is saying here, and we'll go through it together because that's how we're going to figure it out. Because I feel like a lot of times we get these, and they're like, that's not at all what they said. But according to him, he's saying that she suggests the Democratic establishment needs to get on board with wanting conservatives dead, or else far leftists will come after you in the same way that we come after MAGA. Plays video of protesters celebrating Kirk's murder. And then she says, listen up, you're going to jump on board with this, or we're coming after you in the same way that we come after MAGA, period. Okay, well, let's watch this and see if maybe I can come to a better understanding of what she's trying to say here, or maybe she is just being a lefty loon here. Let's see.
Finally, if you think this Zoran thing is happening just in New York, and you think people are waking up only in New York City, you're mistaken. Look at this clip of a wine mom at the No Kings March. Play the clip.
Whatever his name was?
Charlie Kirk, ma'am?
Yeah, him is horrible. Horrible.
Charlie Kirk is horrible?
Yes, I'm glad he's not here.
You're glad he's dead?
Yes.
Why would you say something like that, ma'am?
Because he was horrible on the campuses, the college campuses. Horrible person.
You know what? I do the exact same thing.
Well,
would you be glad if I would die?
Maybe. I'd have to think about it.
You should be ashamed of yourself.
You should be ashamed of yourself.
Your friend just said she'd be happy if I died.
I think we need to...
So listen up, Democratic establishment. You can either jump on board with this shit or we're coming after you in the same way that we come after MAGA. Period. Stop taking AIPAC money.
What? I'm really kind of lost here. This feels weird. She's talking about AIPAC money now? Like, this doesn't even... I'm so fucking confused. Like, it almost feels like... I mean, I struggle to believe... Well, I don't think this Colin Rugg guy is the paragon of, like, journalistic integrity by any means. He's, one of these kind of sloppish sort of news accounts. I just feel like it would be way beyond the pale for him to literally chop up completely opposite. It doesn't even sound like she's responding to what I think she's responding. I didn't even mention Israel there, and it is just a woman gleefully kind of being like, "Oh, I'm glad he's dead," which is kind of, that's just some dark shit. Like, what the fuck? I know I had some saucy takes about Kirk, but I'm not glad he's dead. I mean, and even then, it's not even like a good type thing. Like, nothing. Like, no, it was just like a. But what the? I don't know. It really does feel like this is like someone edited another clip, but maybe somehow in this other minute or so she'll justify it. But yeah, this is some loon shit right now. Let's keep watching.
Go on an I'm sorry I took AIPAC money atonement tour if you want to stay in power. Stop missing out on these big rallies. Hakeem and Chuck should have been front and center introducing the next mayor of New York City, but no, they wouldn't show up because they're pussies. They're pussies that are beholden to the same corporations that helped Donald Trump get elected. And this is just an embarrassment. Kudos to Bernie, to AOC, to Zoran. And that woman out in somewhere middle America saying, fuck Charlie Kirk, he was a racist, he was a piece of shit. There are so many more of us.
Okay, so this is what she. Wow, that's a hard line to connect. I don't even really. What? Okay. I mean, even then, you also don't have to. I mean, it's weird to hold the line of like to have the cool to be like, oh, we're happy. Like, it's one thing to think he's the racist, whatever the fuck. But then to go, oh, but we're happy. Is it like, what? I mean, I don't know. It just seems bizarre. Because it's like, well, obviously, even at where his position was where he died, I was definitely not happy. I mean, obviously, if anything, my concern was like, oh, I just know the inevitable thing is it's going to be the things that I didn't like about him are going to be boosted as a result. So I don't know. This is such a bizarre. I don't know. Let's keep watching. I don't know. I mean, not that she's going to save herself here, but let her dig the hole deeper, I guess. I don't know.
Then there are of them. And these Democrats that continue to play patty cake with corporations and lobbyists. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants you. We want politicians to speak freely and look at what the benefit is. Look at what is happening in New York.
And the thing is, too, it's a very distinct thing to even be like, the lady could have been like, fuck him or whatever. It's a very distinct thing from being like, fuck him to being like, I'm glad he's dead. Because like, well, that doesn't necessarily therefore mean the next thing of like, I would like to see more of that, but it kind of one sort of somewhat almost implies the other. So it's like, I don't know. I don't know. I guess maybe the idea she's kind of making is just the energy, which I don't know. Whatever. Let's watch.
You dipshits are sitting on the sidelines, running your social media like complete dorks. It's embarrassing. Get your shit together, Hakeem and Chuck. Seriously, get your shit together because the Democratic Party is moving on.
I don't know, it's just really weird even then to somehow connect this to the Democratic Party is upset about AIPAC. What a bizarre, like, pull from one thing to another, then also just seated in this bizarre, like, kind of like, I mean, I guess you could, I feel like if she got pressed on it, if I had to guess, give her the benefit of the doubt here, I would assume she'd probably hedge it on something like, oh, I didn't mean that. I more meant like the energy and like kind of the, the flippant kind of like the fuck you. And you maybe almost characterize it as like a kind of how the youth sometimes will be maybe not, we'll say something they don't necessarily exactly mean that way or something, to kind of make a point or maybe it's like a little bit hyper. But at my point, I don't know. It just seems very what bizarre. I don't know. I don't like that at all. Yeah, it's not good. That's all I have to say about that. But I guess it's not as simple even then as this like straight through like even she's not being like necessarily like what I'm saying is we're like even like the way this thing is like we want more of this. She's not necessarily saying of like we want him dead, but it's wow, what a bizarre, really bizarre. Yeah, she's weird. I don't know. Lost the plot there. All right, let's roll into chat. Let's say our good mornings. That was that's wow. I'm still kind of just struck by how just odd. I can't even really connect. Man, the liberal wine my mom. Just women have children. I say this, and who knows? She might have multiple kids, but she looks like a fucking aged, barren woman. Which I mean, I've watched a bunch of her shows. Find her fairly entertaining sometimes when she's right, but she does strike me as a little bit off fucking kilter. Good morning, Shannon Jones. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, JP. Good morning, Fred44. Good morning, Black Eye. Good morning, Comment Mama. Good morning, Tony Chin. There's a UFO mothership over Chicago. Whoa. Good morning, Bobo. Good morning, Hey Say What Now. Good morning, Tom33. Good morning, King David. Tom says no Davey Smith. No Davey Smith. If you guys want him, go on Twitter and say, hey Dave, come on Jose's show. But yeah, we actually were talking not too long ago, and then I'm assuming he got distracted by his run of the road with Steven Crowder, which I just watched that debate. It was pretty entertaining. And then I think he's going on Tim Pool too. So I don't know. But yeah, if you guys want him on the show, that's how you get guests on the show. Say, hey, go on that show, especially when it's someone who has almost 1 million followers. It's hard to even. I can imagine what his DMs are like. I'm sure like his DMs just disappeared right away. Anyways, Mikey Chim, good morning. Which a little bit of an inside look for people. Not that I have a huge account or anything, but even with like a over 10,000 account, I lose DMs all the time, and I mean that's partially just me being awful at keeping track of DMs. But I could only imagine if I had an almost 1 million follower account and I left my fucking DMs open like a crazy person, it'd be an absolute nightmare. Good morning, Alien Big Cat. Good morning. Good morning, Gerald Hall saying good evening. I guess, are you in a different time zone? I thought you were a USA feller. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. I said good morning to you already. Good morning, IB. Good morning. Or I said good morning to you. Going to be more of you. It's hard to keep track of all of you guys to see who I said good morning to and who I didn't. I think I said good morning to you, Fire Pixie, but good morning otherwise. Good morning, Uncle Ted. Gerald's just here to see the kitties. Did you guys like it? Well, yeah, the kitties were the beginning. I'm doing like a little bumper thing now these days. All right. Morning. Tommy says, I dig the serial killer content and whatnot, but if you're going to censor it like the last one, I'm going to skip it. It really breaks up the flow. Yeah, I'd say fuck it and just say the words. I'm not even like partially too, like the last episode, like I figured this is the kind of one that could take off with the algo, so it's kind of like I shouldn't. And also after having looked through some of the stuff, it is legitimately the stuff that you like find yourself censoring yourself even in like your head type thing, because it's the sort of dark shit that you're like, oh fuck, like I just don't even want to begin to start to think about this. So you like just go and then like because just so you can deal with it. That's what that one was. But yeah, I probably won't do that in the future. I'll just have to get darker inside, I guess. Good morning, Gautis. Good morning. Bobo says, could you do the icebreaker about the non-offending pedo? No, unfortunately I can't. I already have the stuff all set up. Maybe tomorrow I'll try to remember that. Good morning, John Black. Good morning. Got a bunch of towers in here. Trying to get through the tower. Who else we got? Good morning, Rahime. I am live, if that answers your question. Yes, I am 15 minutes late to answer your question. But yes, I sure am. Good to see you here. Second thing you say here is, bruh, I'm no glowy. What a wait. If that's the second thing you say, it makes me think maybe you are glowy. But good to have you, glowy or not. Glad to have you in the chat. Let's see. Scroll. Catching up. Man, you guys are talkative today. Cheryl says, I'm coming after this bitch's plastic surgeon. Good morning, Marna Mac. Yeah, see, I'm super confused. Like, I don't even know what she's trying to shoo us with that video or show us. Yeah, exactly. It's after watching that, I'm pretty confused myself. Let me see. Who else? Good morning, Bug Fights. I see you. See, everyone else seems very confused. Don't know what the fuck she's talking about either. I think I said good morning to you already, Toadie's Chin, but hey, what's up? Good morning, everyone. Who else? Ooh, new one. Good morning, Doctor. Good morning. Bug Fights, Jose, you're going to jail for your Kirk take. Yeah, I sure am. Someone says, wait, you actually know who this broad is? I don't know. What is her name? I don't know what her name is. I can't remember. Was it, I think her show's Her Take, or is that the show with Jillian Michaels and all those other chicks? I don't know. It's it plays off some chick, show. It's her and another, kind of aged liberal type that look like they're unmarried without children. Although they might not. I don't know if they're unmarried without children. They just have that vibe about them. So very wine momish. Good morning, Retardio Genio. Oh, is that a Noname? It looks like you changed your name. It looks like a similar profile pic, though. So, I don't know. Let me know if that is you. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Mustache. It was pretty epic. You last night in the call-in show at the end there. Yeah, not that I really have a strong opinion one way or the other, but it is pretty funny to sit there and watch, a Marxist, no shade whatsoever to Doc, and then someone argue, and someone else argue about whether Marx is. I guess you weren't even arguing about whether Marx is a Jew. I guess just more like what that means. And so I'm just kind of sitting back and enjoying the show. Like, I don't really have a strong opinion either way. Let's watch. And it was a fun time. It made for a good end of the show. I thought last night was a good show. It was a fun time. Good morning, Ray. Good morning. Good morning. We are all caught up. We are caught up. All right, let's get into some foreign policy, and then we will get into the main stuff. All right, the big bad, the ugly. Netanyahu orders immediate and powerful attacks on Gaza. Over 100 killed. All right, so I guess it was updated at least, a few hours ago. So I don't know if more has come since then, but Netanyahu ordered the Israeli military to immediately carry out forceful strikes in the Gaza Strip. His office said in a statement, signaling the Gaza ceasefire deal is about to collapse. And like I said, this was current as of 7 a.m. And then Israel is claiming that its forces in Rafah came under attack by Hamas fighters, and Palestinians on the ground reported hearing gunfire and strikes in the south. So they're claiming there was attack in Rafah, and Palestinians there said they heard gunfire from the south. Now, Hamas has said that it had no relation to the shooting incident in Rafah and reaffirms its commitment to the ceasefire agreement. Israel currently controls about 58% of Gaza's territory, and Netanyahu has reportedly decided to take even more territory. So, obviously they're denying it. So it seems, I don't know, maybe we'll find out more. Let's keep going. Sorry, let me adjust my mic real quick. After Netanyahu's announcement, a series of airstrikes were reported in Gaza City and Khan Yunis. According to Al Jazeera, witnesses said a massive strike hit near the Al-Shifa hospital. At least 100 people have been killed, and pictures and videos show that at least 46 children are among the dead and wounded. Netanyahu's statement also came after Israel accused Hamas of violating the ceasefire deal over claims it was delaying and staging the recovery of the bodies of deceased Israeli hostages. Before the agreement was signed, Israeli officials acknowledged that the bodies would take time to find, and CNN cited officials who said some remains may never be found. Israel released a video on Tuesday that showed Hamas burying a body and then bringing in the Red Cross to recover it. But according to Israeli media, the U.S. didn't buy Israel's claim that the footage showed that Hamas violated the ceasefire and objected to Israel launching airstrikes. Then the alleged attack took place in Rafah, and Netanyahu renewed airstrikes. Israel has also impeded efforts to recover more bodies by refusing to allow Turkish and Qatari teams to enter the Strip and help locate and retrieve remains, according to two Arab officials speaking to the Times of Israel. The initiative would have also involved representatives from Israel, the U.S., and Egypt aiding in the efforts. In response to Netanyahu's announcement, Hamas has said that it's postponed the plan to hand over another body due to Israeli violations. Hamas's military wing, the Al-Qassam Brigade, said any Israeli escalations will hinder search, digging, and retrieval operations of the bodies, which will lead to a delay in recovering the bodies. Later in the day, Hamas said that it found 2 more Israeli bodies during excavations in Gaza City. While there has been a de-escalation in Gaza, Israeli forces have continued launching attacks since the ceasefire deal was signed on October 10th, killing more than 100 Palestinians in that time. Israel has also not allowed the agreed-upon number of aid trucks to enter Gaza. Comments from Trump have also made it clear that Israeli officials are eager to restart the full-scale genocidal campaign and would so if he gave the word. Despite Netanyahu's announcement, a U.S. official told Al Jazeera that the ceasefire is still holding and that the U.S. intends to work to implement President Trump's peace plan. Okay, we'll see. Stand by for tomorrow. Vice President J.D. Vance later insisted the ceasefire was holding despite the renewed Israeli airstrikes. The ceasefire is holding. That doesn't mean there aren't going to be little skirmishes, he told Fox News. We know that Hamas or somebody else within Gaza attacked an IDF soldier. We expect the Israelis are going to respond, but I think the president's peace is going to hold. Oh, little skirmishes, you say, J.D. Vance. Well, over 100 people died, about 50% of them being children. So that's just wonderful. And probably it seems like the crux of the issue is probably the bodies. That seems to be the main thing. So obviously I'm sure they'll come up with some reason, but at the end of the day, the big thing they keep complaining about is the bodies, which, I mean, they're dead bodies. I mean, it's obviously they should get back the bodies, but that's what they are. They are bodies. Not anything worth killing living people for. And just a little reminder, Israel encouraged Qatar to send money to Gaza knowing that it would fund Hamas. This is from Kyle Anzalone. So newly released memo from the Israeli government shows that Tel Aviv pressed Qatar to send money to Gaza knowing the funds would benefit Hamas. The document adds the pile of evidence that Netanyahu propped up Hamas for years before the October 7th attack. Khan News journalist Suleiman Maswadeh reported obtaining a 2020 memo that pushed Qatar to continue sending financial support to Gaza, knowing some of the funds would reach Hamas. Israel's begging documents to Qatar requesting to continue transferring money to the Gaza Strip, even though there were indications that part of it was leaking to Hamas. The Qataris, in return for the money, sent actual invoices to Israel. In short, everything is documented. Now, Democratic leader Yair Golan said the report proved Netanyahu was an asset of Hamas. Tonight, it became clear that he groveled and begged the Qataris to continue transferring cash to Gaza, despite knowing that the money was going directly to Hamas's military wing, Golan argued on X. I just clicked over on the Twitter account thing. Maybe it'd follow to a report of some sort here. I was hoping maybe there'd be a link to it. Maswadah's disclosure adds the evidence that Netanyahu propped up Hamas's control of Gaza for years. Netanyahu told Likud's Knesset members in March 2019, anyone who wants to thwart the establishment of a Palestinian state has to support bolstering Hamas and transferring money to Hamas. This is part of our strategy, to isolate the Palestinians in Gaza from the Palestinians in the West Bank. It's impossible to reach an agreement with them. Everyone knows this, but we control the height of the flames. And then also, they're a little bit concerned on the propaganda side of things for whenever the international journalists enter Gaza, which does seem to be rich timing for this piece, considering the fact that it looks like, well, they may have just got their wish. They may be kicking things back off again. Apparently, the crux of this story is just that they've been concerned with things opening up. Like, yes, there's been these photos, like we're one we see here, the absolute devastation, just insane, just as far as the eye can see, just hollowed out buildings. But there's going to start rolling in more of the human side of things, actual real stories. And I don't know how well the Israeli government is going to hold up to that sort of scrutiny. But over on the U.S. side things, we've got enough of our own problems. Behold more murder. Behold your government murdering. Here is a video of murder. But they're narco-terrorists, I guess, so that makes it okay. We've bombed, the U.S. bombed 4 drug boats in the Eastern Pacific, alleged drug boats, killing 14. That's really all there is to the story. They blew up 4 more. Actually, I think one of these, if I recall correctly, I think one of them might have survived or something. So let me scroll through. No, one of the interesting components about this is Mexico confirmed they rescued one person, and I guess they're conducting search and rescue operations. So it is interesting that it's like, it seems this one was pretty close to Mexico. So because they haven't really been saying exactly where all of these have been to every time. So they've kind of seemingly been around Venezuela, is what most people, and around Colombia. But now it looks like they might be getting close to Mexico because they flirted with the idea of interdiction in Mexico in the past. I know it was a big deal when they were floating out ideas of drone bombing cartel along the border, and Mexico was kind of like, what? So I don't know, and that's kind of, let's be real, it's like they've already floated this idea out in the past, and they were kind of talking about like on land. They're kind of already doing it, just in a I don't know, a different medium, I guess, through the water. They're doing the same exact thing as they already said they were going to do in a different country, and now they're off the coast of Mexico. So are we going to see in Mexico soon? I don't know. What is interesting, though, they are asking the military officials to sign NDAs. Thought that was particularly interesting. This is reported out of Reuters, so it is a sources say, so bear that in mind. Now, over at the AP, we have a story that apparently they tried to get Maduro's pilot to betray him. I thought this was kind of interesting. I figured we'll read this one together real quick. Said the federal agent had a daring pitch for Maduro's chief pilot. All he had to do was surreptitiously divert the Venezuelan president's plane to a place where the U.S. authorities could nab the strongman, which I think, if I remember, wasn't that... I know there's somebody in the chat that would probably know this because this isn't somewhere I'm strong. Was it Mumbai or Mumbai something? I forget. There was one of the early, I want to say it was one of the South American guys. I can't remember which country it is. But they did something similar to this where they literally, I think they abducted him from his plane somewhere or something like that. And then he just kind of disappeared. And then I think, they essentially tortured him and did all sorts of crazy stuff. And then later, I think this is under JFK, if I recall correctly. Man, I'm really kicking myself. I can't think of this. But yeah, it vaguely it reminds me of that slightly. So it is funny. They're like, oh, we're going to try to pull that one. Anyways, exchange agent told the pilot in a clandestine meeting the aviator would be made a very rich man. Conversation was tense and the pilot left non-committal, though he provided the agent Edwin Lopez with his cell number, a sign he might be interested in helping the U.S. government. Over the next 16 months, even after retiring from his government job in July, Lopez kept at it, chatting with the pilot over an encrypted messaging app. That is interesting, even after retiring from his government job. I think that tells you something there. The untold intrigue-filled saga of how Lopez tried to flip the pilot has all the elements of a Cold War spy thriller. Luxury private jets, a secret meeting in an airport hangar, high-stakes diplomacy, and the delicate wooing of a key Maduro lieutenant. There was even a final machination aimed at rattling the Venezuelan president about the pilot's true loyalties. More broadly, the scheme reveals the extent and often slapdash fashion to which the U.S. has for years sought to topple Maduro, who it blames for destroying the oil-rich nation's democracy while providing a lifeline to drug traffickers, terrorist groups, and communist-run Cuba. All right. That's actually all I'm going to read. This is the key of it. You guys, they essentially went after his pilot. We don't have to go through all the specifics of it, but I do find it particularly entertaining. And I guess they also tried to make a kind of a public display out of this too, and the idea of trying to embarrass him later, but didn't. It seemed to fail. It looked like this guy was actually probably just working with his own government to be like, hey, they're trying to get you this way. All right, on the Ukrainian front, Zelensky says he needs European support to fight Russia for another 2 or 3 years. So surprise, surprise, that one's going to keep on ticking along. And the final foreign policy story I have for you guys today is Barack warns Lebanon. This is the last chance to disarm Hezbollah. Now this is over in this is, like I said, this is over in Lebanon. This is Tom Barack, the U.S. envoy to Lebanon. And we've talked a little bit here and there about this one. It's kind of wild what they're trying to get them to do over there, essentially trying to get them to disarm Hezbollah, which would essentially cause a civil war, while at the same time, like, being in the midst of a ceasefire with Israel, a ceasefire deal with Israel, like an ongoing, like, back and forth. And they, over and over and over again, Israel does not uphold their deal, yet makes further and further requests of Lebanon. It's just kind of absurd, and this is just another example of it. So he's heading to Lebanon this week, and according to reports, he plans to tell officials this will be the last time, and that Lebanon has one last chance to fully disarm Hezbollah and enter into direct negotiations with Israel. While this is in keeping with Barack's rhetoric, the narrative has several obvious problems, including that last time he was in Lebanon, only last week, he informed them that Israel had rejected a Lebanese proposal for direct negotiations on the grounds that they didn't want to commit to ending daily attacks on Lebanon. Bear in mind, they're in a fucking ceasefire. Barack threatens an Israeli invasion of Lebanon several times a month of late. It's seemingly oblivious to the fact that Israel is already deploying ground troops into Lebanon and attacking them regularly, both of which the existing ceasefire is meant to preclude. So keep that in mind, with this administration. They have their guy in Lebanon repeatedly, over and over and over again, threatening Lebanon with Israel. So I don't know, just kind of, if you are this whole like, oh, are we a vassal state, or do they control us, or do we control them, or is it like, oh my God, is it the fact that you even think it's one or the other is kind of like, oh, you're like, well, behold. Like, what the fuck? All right, let's roll through the chat. Say maybe a few more good mornings. Man, got a good amount of y'all in here. About 60 of y'all right now. It's pretty good for just finishing up with foreign policy. So yeah, please do me a favor, hit that like button. It'll help send more of y'all over this way. Let's see if we can make number go up. That'd be cool. But let's say our good mornings, and we'll get into some main topics. Rihame says you should have at least 50,000 subscribers. You're shadow banned as hell. I'm sure I am, but it's also because I'm retarded as hell. To the point earlier, they're saying for example, like I'm not good at like censoring myself, just stuff like that. Just the topics. I just had on one of you random ass guys in here to go talk about blood libel in the 109 countries the other day. This is why I don't have 50,000 subscribers. That, and to some degree, I gotta work on my game. I got a wife. I got kids. I got other shit. I can hopefully. I don't know. I'm gonna try to put more time in this as it makes itself. I have more of an ability to do so. As you guys are able to support more. And my kids are getting older too. Like, hell, my oldest is 16. I'm not too much longer to only having like one kid. So I'm getting to have more and more time on my hands. I'm also getting to get more and more support. It makes it so I'm less scrambling to get things done. I'm more able to put time into it. So yeah, but appreciate all of you guys. It is going places. But it would be cool if the algo helped me out. But hey, it is what it is. It's a whole high time preference, low time preference thing. All right. All right. I see you in the chat, Tom. That's talking about Doc. That's fair. That's your opinion. I enjoy his company. But yeah, he's a different person. So hey, it is what it is. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Anyone new in here? Let me see. Anyone new in the chat? Ooh, Hearn15. Is the only payment for this dumb app PayPal? Is it? I don't know. I don't even. I think you just use card if you're using Patreon, or you're trying to do. I see what you're doing Rumble. Oh, I got you. You're trying to send over a Rumble rant, are you? Well, you can also support me at Patreon.com. There's no way Jose 2020. I keep saying this a lot too. I think this weekend I'll try to get more payment options. I think I thought last weekend my kid didn't have any soccer games, and I was wrong. I think it's this weekend. So I think I will actually finally maybe have a time, sit down, put them all together, make a QR code, all that nice stuff. But yeah, sorry if if it's hard for you to give me money. Good morning, Nemo Liberty. Also, remind me if you do send a Rumble rant, because Rumble is weird with StreamYard, and will like not send me over a notification for some reason. So let me know. I'd love to read them, and I appreciate the support, but people feel like I'm ignoring them sometimes, and it is what it is. So, all right, what else we got in here? Yep, that's my address, guys. Go ahead and send all things there. By the way, I did see someone in the chat yesterday asking over and over again if I have a mail thing. It's funny, I don't have a P.O. box. Me and my wife went to make one a while ago, and then we did the form where you fill it out, and then I just had to bring it to a post office to get it. I just never got around to it, and then it expired. So we have to do the fucking form all over again, pay almost $100 or whatever it is for the initial fee or whatever, all over again, just because I dragged my ass. So I don't know. Eventually, I'll probably get a P.O. box so that way you guys can send me stuff, especially since I've had people asking. So I'll probably get on that somewhat soon. So especially since I have you guys asking. So keep asking if you want to see it, because it'll keep reminding me, and then I'll bug my wife, and then we'll do it. So. Fire Pixie says, sometimes I wonder why I'm single, then I reread the chat, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's why. LOL, no normie would want me. Aw, I'm sure you're beautiful inside and out, Fire Pixie. People would be lucky to have you. All right, let's keep. So what we got in here. All right, you guys are just chitty-chatting there. Good morning, Emily. Good to see you. I'm starting to think this might be Gerald's address. I think he's doxing himself, and I think he wants... Or actually, I don't know. Is that a joke, Gerald? What is 244 Needy Road, Martinsburg, West Virginia? I just probably either doxed Gerald or somebody else, or I don't know. There's a funny joke there that I'm missing. Good morning, JC. Good to see you in the chat. Good morning. Good morning. He's working. He says can't talk. JC is a fixture of the internet. That doesn't make sense. He must be doing bot stuff other places. Good morning, Jake. Said missed yesterday's show. Just lurking today. Here's a line. Appreciate it, brother. All right, guys. I don't know what line I was laughing at. I don't know. Sometimes I just laugh at dumb shit. All right, let's get into the missing Bussy. If you have a Bussy, make sure you know where it is, because they go missing sometimes. Let's check in on the New York Post and see what they have to say about Tyler Robinson's boo and where the fuck is she? He, whatever the fuck we're calling. I don't know why I went she there. I keep thinking it's boo. I keep thinking it's a girl. That's like my default as a human. It's not me trying to be progressive. It's actually me being the opposite of that, because I think my mind goes to male in a relationship, and I think of Tyler, and then I just immediately assume female when we're talking about the relationship. So just want to be clear there. I'm not being progressive. I'm being a bigot. Anyways, Charlie Kirk suspected trans lover Lance. Dang stupid ads. Give me a second. Go away, ad. Go away. Go away. There we go. It's back. St. George, Utah, the transgender lover, I don't know why I read that part. The transgender lover of Charlie Kirk's alleged killer has seemingly vanished from his hometown 6 weeks after the political assassination that shook the country. Lance Twiggs, 22, has been the down low since his boyfriend Tyler Robinson allegedly shot the Turning Point USA co-founder dead and then sent Twiggs a stream of text messages confessing to the slaying, according to feds. Twiggs has steered clear of his $1,800 per month love nest on the outskirts of the isolated desert oasis of St. George. Here's the picture that everyone probably mostly thinks of when they think of Lance now, is in that little jammies, which they look pretty comfy. Authorities previously said that he's cooperating with authorities, but Twiggs has refused to speak with media while Robinson awaits trial in a Salt Lake City jail cell. Robinson made a brief court appearance on Monday where he mounted the legal argument that fellow accused political assassin Luigi Mangione used in his case. The Utah native asked that he be allowed to wear civilian clothes to future appearances, arguing that a jail jumpsuit could prejudice the jury pool against him. He also asked to appear in court without shackles. The judge granted him the first request but denied the second in a partial win for Robinson. Mangione made a similar argument in his case, though it does not appear his judge was as agreeable. and he was subsequently seen in his federal lockup fatigues. I guess this is the mother of Lance Twiggs, Amy Twiggs, outside the house with a visitor. Okay. All right. So that's the mom of Lance Twiggs. Robinson is set to appear on January 16th, and his arraignment has been set for January 30th. Robinson and Twiggs, whom authorities are referring to with masculine pronouns, moved in together sometime after the latter's devout Mormon parents booted him from their home in 2018. They may have since reconciled. Twiggs' Venmo account shows several payments from his parents over the past 2 years with descriptions including prescriptions and gas money. The latest payment from his dad occurred just a few months before Kirk was shot. Now here's another picture of Lance. It's unclear whether Twiggs is living with his parents or is even still in St. George, 4 hours from Utah Valley University, where Charlie Kirk was killed. Twiggs' car, an Infiniti FX35, is now parked in his parents' driveway. Jesse Riley, who lives just a few houses down from Twiggs and Robinson's apartment, said he couldn't recall seeing any activity from the property since Robinson, also 22, turned himself over to the cops. Definitely it's a shock. It happened here. It's a quiet neighborhood. You know, your neighborhood on your left, or your neighbor on your left or your right, but people are pretty isolated, Riley told the Post last month. Here's a picture of his dad, Tyler's dad, or not Tyler, Twiggs' dad. I guess Twiggs' dad is Tyler. So Twiggs had a fraught relationship with his strict Mormon parents, but the reasons why are disputed. A family member told Fox News Twiggs wasn't being respectful and was problematic, used drugs, and was addicted to online gaming. But others close to Twiggs tell a different story. Okay, members of the Nielsen family, who gave Twiggs a place to crash after he got kicked out, described the then teen as a good kid who studied hard and cared about his friends. It's interesting. I loved Lance. His parents kicked him out of his house, and he lived with us. His parents never sat right with my family, said Braylon Nielsen, 19, whose brothers were close with Twiggs and members of a group chat with him, as well as Tyler Robinson. By the way, on the off chance you're out there in Nielsen, or any of you Nielsen fellers, feel free to hit me up. Love to have you on. He had straight A's. He was very hardworking, not a big partier. He just took care of people, Nielsen's added. Twiggs' former teachers seem to agree. Everything I've heard about him, he was a great kid. He was nice. He worked hard. Ben Kaufman, superintendent of Twiggs High School, told the Post, I heard all good things. His parents seem to have reconciled with their prodigal son, at least somewhat. Investigators say Twiggs received a string of messages from Robinson describing the shooting, hiding the gun, and his struggle to escape. You are all I worry about, love, Robinson wrote to Twiggs before surrendering to law enforcement. Robinson was charged on September 17th with aggravated murder, among other crimes, in the slaying of Kirk at UVU on September 10th. Court documents show him confessing to his lover in text messages sent during a 33-hour manhunt, which Twiggs later showed with law enforcement. Here's another picture of Twiggs. Another one where he's older, looks a little more Chad-ish here. Picture of Charlie and Kirk. Twiggs has not been charged with a crime, and authorities say he's cooperating with police in the investigation. One relative of Twiggs claimed in a Fox interview, I think Tyler got a lot worse in the year he and Robinson have been dating. They are big gamers, and obviously they have that group that influences them as well as others. Robinson also expressed to his lover a grudge about his father's support of President Trump. Since Trump got into office, my dad has been pretty diehard MAGA, Robinson wrote in the messages. Okay, all interesting stuff. Now, obviously, the crux of the story here is, is he missing or whatever? I think that's frankly kind of dumb. He's probably not going to be hanging out, or he's probably, I would guess they said his car is at his parents' house in this article. He's probably at his parents' house. He's probably just staying inside his parents' house, which is like totally exactly what makes sense they would do in this situation. He's going to be hounded. Otherwise, I mean, in this literal piece here, they have pictures of the family walking in and out of their house. So yeah, this guy's probably hanging out in the house. It is interesting to get a little bit more of a look behind the scenes of the sources say of what's going on there, because we have received some sources say on Twigs that have kind of colored our interpretation of things before. We had the Candace stuff where she was kind of implying that she had talked to family and that he had been kicked out for demons or some shit, and And then we have this recent thing we covered yesterday that seems to imply some weird, almost 764 type stuff going on, and but now we're hearing other sources coming. I don't know, it's kind of a normal kid, at least around the time that he supposedly got kicked out by his parents. So you're like, what the hell happened there? So maybe more of a different picture will start to form. So never take anything for granted, I guess, until you really have it set on firm ground. And a lot of this information we still have swirling around this case is not on firm ground. But let's go back to kind of on the in the periphery of the Kirk stuff. We talked a little bit about this van thing, this one weird this bombing attempt. There was this under a Fox van. They tried to put this incendiary device under a Fox van right around the same time. There was kind of almost like a Middle Eastern component. A lot of people connected dots between that and the Kirk thing because it happened right around the same time. We've covered on the show a couple times. Well, but a little bit more has come out since then. I know we had talked about before. This guy, drove a Porsche, which started to make this whole situation start to glow a little bit more. That we started to get some court information and documents come out about this. He came back in a Porsche, which, like I said, made it glow a little bit more. Well, now we have even more information. This guy is Christopher Proctor. He's a Utah man accused of placing an incendiary device under a Fox 13 van. He allegedly told a family member that he was, quote, anarchist to the bone. And 5 days before the attack, he was on a podcast saying, "We are woke as fuck, and there's got to be a revolution starting somewhere." Pretty wild. Let's look at this real quick. This is from Seamus Hughes over at Court Watch. How long is... Okay, cool. We'll read through this real quick because this is interesting. It's a newly filed federal search warrant against a self-described anarchist accused of attempting to set off an incendiary device in Utah. Provides a window into an ongoing investigation into whether he planned the attack with others. Proctor was charged in federal court last month with attempted arson and possessing an unregistered destructive device. According to the criminal complaint, in the early morning of September 12th, he placed a plastic gas can with a lit multi-foot long fuse underneath the driver's side rear bumper of a news truck. The fuse self-terminated before entering the gas can. Authorities say DNA recovered on the gas can matched with Proctor. According to court documents, records received from Proctor's Amazon account revealed purchases of black tactical gear and a fuse. On September 20th, authorities searched Proctor's residence, finding items that matched closely with the attire worn by the would-be arsonist. While the criminal complaint did not indicate a motivation to the attack, a search warrant filed this week in Utah provides additional context. According to the FBI, Proctor told a family member 2 days before purchasing the items that, honestly, I just want to burn it all down. If there were riots nationwide starting today, I'd join. I'm an anarchist to the bone. 5 days prior to the attempted arson, Proctor, who is a singer in a local band, was interviewed by a Utah-based music magazine and stated on the podcast that his latest album is about the destruction of the world, the country, and that his band was very political. We're very woke. We're woke as fuck. There's got to be a revolution starting. Man, I got to find this dude's fucking music. I need to find this podcast. All right. The search warrant, which previously hasn't been reported on, describes Proctor communicating with an unnamed individual 2 days prior to the attack, stating, "If you really want to do this with me, I'm 1,000% serious in planning and doing recon stuff, and I definitely need help if you're willing." Okay. Okay. Coming off a little strong with the glow there, bud. The affidavit states Proctor told a friend that he committed the attempted arson. It also notes that Proctor received a new fuse in the mail a week after the first attempt, and his vehicle was seen driving past Fox 13's building multiple times that week. An attorney from Proctor did not immediately respond to requests for comment. The U.S. Attorney's Office in Utah is not responding to media inquiries due to the lapse of federal appropriations. He was arrested on September 29th and is in order detained pending trial. So I know maybe we'll have more of this in the future, but man, that's a fun one, isn't it? Huh? All right. What else we got? All right. Let me see. Let's see if the audio is still working. Of course it's not. Give me a sec. Let me set up the audio for this next one, but we actually have a follow-up once again on something from yesterday. We beat Candace to the punch. And by we, I mean me commenting on Dana Duda, who beat Candace to the punch. Candace talked about the old spooky nature of Rob McCoy, and who is the father of, was it Mikey McCoy, the guy who acted all super weird after the death of his buddy. So let's watch some of this. It is a little long. I don't know if we'll watch all of it, but let's go.
They were now running like a
second.
military operation. It was so efficient. Climbing Turning Point USA, as you know, became a behemoth. I remember speaking at their conferences and saying that they were now running like a military operation. It was so efficient, on time, it was tactical. And I did not realize at that time how prescient that thought would become. Because as you guys know, in my old age, I have grown increasingly interested in genealogy. Because you really start to recognize certain patterns when you look into who people's fathers are, who their grandfathers were, who their great-grandfathers were. And the one thing that has shocked me about Charlie and Turning Point USA is just how many military characters were surrounding him. Even in September 10th, people that were in the hospital, right? Let's just take a look at the chart that we have put together. And this is in an early phase, but it's interesting at the very least. Okay. We've got Frank Turek, and Frank Turek, if we want to go through this, we got Andrew Colvett, Rob McCoy, Mikey McCoy, Tyler Boyer. Let's start with Frank Turek, if we have that card. And Frank Turek, again, has been honest, former officer in the U.S. Navy. And then he turned to Christian apologetics. He has 2 sons that are in the military, fly planes, as well as one of his son's spouses that's in the military. Again, he's never lied about this. Andrew Colvett, by the way, if you don't know, I didn't know. I don't think Charlie knew. Definitely not when Tyler brought him or when he got hired. His brother, Captain Kurt Colvett, is in the military. His cousin, Captain Robert Colvett, is high up in the military. So that's interesting. Very interesting to me, at least, because I just am like, oh, that's kind of something I was not aware of. I thought he was just a PR guy, someone that was working PR and was found and things, went forward. Obviously, Rob McCoy, another pastor, but a pastor with a very strong military background. Pastor Rob McCoy, his father was a naval captain, Roy Edgar McCoy, but also, and this is kind of shocking, his father was also the assistant chief of staff for psychological warfare in the Navy. Psychological warfare. This is the name of the game. And that trajectory is increasingly interesting to me. I think we have this clip from an investigative journalist named George Webb, who speaks a little bit further about Rob. And obviously, this is Mikey McCoy's family. Take a listen.
McCoy does have this strange military background. He does have.
I do want to comment. This guy sketches me out, and then furthermore, it sketches me out that Candace is going up. But fair enough. Who knows? I mean, when you do get to that level as a commentator, you are kind of to some degree, and you can't get into the weeds on every little thing, and so I don't know. You kind of lean on. I don't know. He's sketching me out, but some of the angles he's gone down. But either way, whatever. She's just using him to kind of boost the kind of the military, kind of connections thing. But just saying.
It's strange, seemingly putting his son in there and guiding the hand for this new apostolic revival. That he is a NAR person. He is the NAR push for Charlie. Charlie was meeting with NAR. NAR were the $25 million and above donors from the Christian right. The Ziklag was the name of the organization. So all that's correct. That's correct information. And
what happened in my life after that was I went from PragerU, and you got a pastor, from the military, 2 pastors from the military there. I'm telling you, Marissa, straight military. I then went to obviously the Daily Wire, and the president at the time of the Daily Wire was also a naval intelligence officer who decided to become a pastor. That was John Lewis. And I'm like, actually, in retrospect, what are the chances that we just have so many military people that are in media? How organic is this?
I'm not gonna lie, it is a little like when I'm covering this one, I'm like, I can't go too hard on this one. I'm not still in, guys, okay? But it is like, obviously, like, that is the vector. If anyone's gonna fucking like Fed jacket me, that would be the vector. Yeah, there are people in the military, but hey. But I mean, I did show you that one of the guys in question here is a little bit more than just some fucking retard who fixed planes. it was what, the assistant to the Navy's psychological warfare or some shit, like whatever. Yeah, a little bit different, a little different. All right, let's keep going.
Who's the biggest person on YouTube? Right? I just got interested. I started asking questions like, are we in a military simulation? Mr. Beast, both of his parents high up in the military. Do you think he really was just getting trillions and gazillions of views because people wanted to see somebody count to 1 million? Or is that interesting? But also, it might be relevant that his family's military, like high up in the military. Everywhere I looked, every time I was like, well, this person, I got interested even in Lila Rose, right? Catholic, does this whole, speaks about, and she's always been very lovely to me, speaks about the pro-life movement and converted to Catholicism and got a story there. I met her through Marissa. It's kind of the same people funding both. And it was kind of interesting. Like when I would see Lila kind of jump on the attacking the Christ is King or trying to rationalize why we shouldn't say Christ is King all the time. And she was like a lone Catholic that was doing that. And I then got super interested in her when she messaged me about Andrew Tate. And she had someone on her show that was Andrew Tate's, one of the accuser's lawyers. And I was like, this has nothing to do with the pro-life movement. What are you doing? I asked her and she's like, well, and that woman that attacked me and Tucker Carlson, I said, that's weird. Like, that's kind of random. You're supposed to be the pro-life person. And you're talking about, and you're talking to Andrew Colvet's, the party to that lawsuit. You're talking to her lawyer.
By the way, I see, was it Gerald in the chat? Excited. She's going after Mr. B. Did you guys see? I think he applied to open a bank or some shit, which is, I don't know. I was thinking about it and I was like, are you fucking, as I was thinking about it, I was like, are you fucking, especially with like the way money's going and stuff. And I was like, if you've got to be kidding me, if we literally go to literal Mark of the Beast, like they'll kind of sell it. Like, I don't know. I could see it already. Maybe it's a little too on the nose, but between getting into the banking game and stuff, you're like, dude, what the fuck's going on here? But yeah, it is interesting. I've never looked into his past, but let's keep going.
Why on your show? Why are you the first show she would pick? Why doesn't she go on like CNN or Fox News? And I looked, and of course, yeah, you got military all over that background. And I'm going, is anything not military? I'm looking at Barry Weiss and I'm looking into her grandfather and...
Comment Mama brings a good point. It says, how does Candace as a Catholic fail to get to Gladio here? Well, and a little bit of an overlooked portion of Gladio has very much to do with Catholics. So that was kind of the money side of the whole game. Was going through the Vatican was a big component of all the Gladio stuff, and it probably plays a large part. So this is when people get to like the levels. How there's like levels to shit. You're like, oh, we're at the Jews. Oh, now we're at the fucking Catholics. Oh, we're at the Jesuits. They're like, that's what we're talking about. When you get to Gladio, well, what was backing up Gladio? Well, it was the church, the Catholic Church. So. Yeah, or at least that was one major component of it. So let's keep going.
There's a story that's just incredible. A bomb thrown on at his house, and I think it's in Philly or somewhere, maybe it's Pittsburgh, and that's related to the casinos.
By the way, I saw someone say, is she on meth? I have it sped up, so that way we didn't have to make you guys sit through the whole 9 minutes. She doesn't normally speak this quick.
I mean, the whole thing starts getting really crazy when you realize everyone's somehow attached to Raytheon, right? Mr. Beast, they're all attached to Raytheon in one way or the other, and I find that to be interesting. And there's more, by the way. I'm in the early days of research here, and there's a lot more I'm going to present to you guys. But I think we can all acknowledge that we were lied to about the 30-06, right? I know for a fact Charlie's neck was not destroyed. Certainly was not destroyed. And if I'm lying, sue me for defamation, and you'll learn exactly how I know that. This is what makes Andrew Colbett's tweet explaining the conversation with the surgeon especially interesting. You remember, it's like, oh, and the surgeon said, well, that would have taken down a moose, and but Charlie's neck, he's the man of steel. And people rightly said that's not the job of the surgeon. That's kind of the job of forensics to say that. The medical examiner would be the right person to say that. By the way, who was the medical examiner? Who were the doctors? And any chance they were military? Any chance they were military? I'm just wondering. And here's what I discovered preliminarily. The answer is yes, okay? The doctor who worked on Charlie was Dr. Lee Trotter. And regarding Dr. Lee Trotter, he did his residency on the Air Force Base, right? He completed residency at the Keesler Air Force Medical Center in Mississippi. I think he actually might.
At the very least, you would think that would tell you that's not the fucking doctor you want to go to. Even if you don't go conspiratorial, the fact that, I mean, I don't know if she already mentioned the lady, but the lady too is there's multiple like military doctors here that supposedly had some sort of hand in it. And at the very least, they're like, this is the best guy you got. I don't know, just saying. It's like, it's literally a going joke in the military. It's like what do you call a military? What do you call what do you call what do you call someone who in med school gets what do you call someone who gets D's in med school? And you go, and they go, what? And you go, sir, you know, like for those audio people, I did a salute there, like that. That's what you call, like the joke being is like that you became a doctor. Like it's just go or no go when you're talking about the military. Like, are you capable of doing this? Cool. You are a square peg. We put you in square hole. We don't care if you're good at it at all, really. We just care as long as you are sufficient. And so, yeah, at the very least, the idea he's getting medical care from military members is a little bit weird, a little concerning. I guess, to be fair, they might be like reservists or something. So there's all sorts of people out there in the world that will, like, 1 week in a month will be prominent people in your normal whatever that then will, like, do. So it may not mean that much, just may mean like 1 week in a month he picks up a couple, or, you know, picks up a K or two, you know, working a shift on the weekend or whatever in the clinic on the base or whatever. But let's keep going.
Be in the Air Force, from what I'm looking at. Can't confirm that entirely, but there's a person who matches name, age, description, living where he's living, who is actually in the Air Force. And he also, for a fact, is a pilot. So it would track that he was in the military. That's interesting. The medical examiner, Dr. G. Smith Amaro, who that would be the appropriate person to have had the conversation with. Also someone that in my dream, Charlie told me I should look into. She's a major in the Army. She's also from a major corporation. She's from the Erickson family. The Erickson Boyd Corporation is her family. She tells people that she is a direct descendant of Leif Erikson. This brings us into like Swedish Freemason stuff, okay? And I'm sure, like I'm certain she's an Erickson, like 1,000% certain that she's an Erickson. She's also now a lesbian. And I'm thinking, why was she just made a major in the Army? Why did they need this woman in? Why were people researching these doctors and this specific medical examiner? What the heck is going on? There's more. There's a lot more that I haven't covered, but I'm painting a picture here for you, okay? I think the military-industrial complex that Eisenhower forewarned of, the military-industrial complex that shot JFK to maintain power, has created a veneer of reality for us, and it is not so, right? We are under a veil. I think that these corporations, people that are put at the head of these corporations and we're told that they're geniuses, or they're just so successful, like Mr. Beast, these are military operations, is what I'm signaling to you guys. So be aware of that. I think this military-industrial complex has had a lot of actors. We have military-grade actors, some of which I think were there when Charlie got shot. Weird.
All right, that's a whole bunch of interesting. She's still leaning more into the military playing a part. I find it interesting she's leaning into these things. We'll see where it goes. Now here's Dana responding to this. Dana Duda, we covered her thing yesterday. She says, hot take, I posted about this almost a week ago. Yes, Candace, genealogy is important. Know what else is important? The Scientologist from Epstein's Black Book that introduced you to your husband and helped Kirk start Turning Point UK. And he goes, if it takes someone getting murdered for people to evaluate who they may or may not be in bed with, don't be so disingenuous about it. The same Scientologist who claims Juan G is his spiritual brother. Juan G, son of a high-ranking Haitian military official under Papa Doc Duvalier, accused of using voodoo to help someone beat rape charges. Or do military-grade actors only count when it's convenient? And then who she's talking about here is John Mappin. He says, and then who that is. Let me see. I guess he was also in Epstein's Black Book, John Mappin. So one thing to know about that guy, a guy in his Black Book seems to have some unsavory friends. Dana's also asking, is there a gag order in place, saying it's hard to keep track when there's so much bouncing around. Dana's saying, do you have a gag order to Scientologist John Mappin, friend of Epstein, who introduced you to your husband and helped financially back or co-found, if you ask Mappin, the setting up of TPUK. So it is, although I will say in this very podcast, I did watch it. Candace is my queen and I follow her every word. I'm being a little silly, obviously. I definitely approach anything she's doing skeptically because I have my concerns, but she did say in literally that last podcast, was talking about how, like, she's saying how I've kind of started to see through fresher eyes type deal. And she says, I'm starting to think, particularly, especially around a certain period of time where I'm starting to buck things, that I started realizing there were certain people in my life that seemingly were there to navigate me one way or another, is what essentially what she said. And I think she kind of implies they were probably some of them that they were before, but they definitely increased in intensity and amount, I guess, like how many of them there are, and then to what degree they were pushing it around a certain period of time. I think, I don't know what specific moment, but in kind of one of her bucking moments, I forget which, when she kind of broke away from the establishment trends. So she's kind of admitted that, like, hey, it looks like there were people put in there that kind of handle us, essentially. And I'm kind of starting to see this now. And while we all, I don't know, while we all do like to shit on these people and be like these kind of these overproduced, I don't know, these overproduced mouthpieces, I guess you could say, like the Candace Owens, and a lot of people, even in my own chat, will like shit on her for kind of being a little bit more slop content or this, that, and journalists do the same. But you also kind of think about what they came up in. I think it's a little bit more evident looking at Charlie, and this has been something I'm reflecting on a bunch, especially since, like, you know, he died, and there was kind of like where he was at when he died. But like, say for Charlie Kirk, he was fucking like 18 years old, I think, when he started this shit. And like, I look at it from like perspective of my life. I joined the military around that time like a fucking idiot. And then you find yourself kind of like, the further you get along in something, the more you get entrenched into it, the more it's harder to get out. And then like, you kind of, by the time you realize like, oh, I don't even actually agree with this. I was tricked. Or I didn't see this. I was stupid, whatever. By that, a lot of time you get to that point, you've already got to where you've got so many eggs in this basket or whatever. You kind of have this, and even then from a logical perspective, you've put yourself in a situation where you find ways to justify certain behaviors. Because you're like, oh, well, this is okay because of X, Y, and Z. Like, even something as simple, like for me with like the military, like I found ways as I was, you know, fleshing back my beliefs to where like I'd find holdouts. I'd be like, but no, we need it because of this or because of that. And then, you know, just this one, and even though it's illogical, and even then sometimes I would even find myself like, you know, being like attacking that point and be like, no, that's wrong. But then I'd lean on another point, but the next thing I'd forget that I'd even, you know, broken the paradigm inside my own head on that previous point before. My point being is you kind of get locked into these things. Your mind plays these tricks when you have incentives in place. It's not always super conscious, and I do think a lot of us fall prey to the traps of youth, the traps of fame, just all the different things. I mean, these things are. I mean, if you're in the political game is a big fucking trap. It is a trap made by the establishment to funnel things in one direction. So from your start as dumb, like when you're dumb, you're being funneled in this way. So I guess it's just a matter of when you get the strength to pull yourself out of that funnel. And I don't know, somebody like a Candace or like a Kirk, they're pretty goddamn, they were at least pretty darn far down that funnel. And so they might be clawing their way out in some regards, and so they might have a little stink on them and might be like, I don't know, is that proof to you being a controller? You just haven't completely pulled off all the scales on your eyes yet. I'm unsure. I don't know. It's kind of hard to tell. But I find the whole thing pretty damn interesting. But either way, it's happening, so we're gonna keep talking about it. All right, let's roll the chat. I think that's all we got for the Kirk front. We're gonna get into the the would-be trans shooter thing here in a minute, but let's roll the chat, see if you guys got anything to say. B saying that title. Good morning, good morning. Yeah, Kirk Killer's missing Bussy. I got people asking what Bussy is in the chat. Love it. Good stuff. What else we got in here? Check the chats. Black Eye says he thinks Charlie is in witness protection. So many actors. I'm completely open to it at this point in time. I mean, completely believable. Tom asks, is Candace's husband white? Yeah, he's some like British white dude, odd guy. Good morning, Marty Fly. Actually, I don't know if he's an odd guy, but I mean, it's just an odd, like he's some like son of like royalty. It's very odd. Yeah, and he's like, I think they only knew each other for like a month or some shit. Weird stuff. I don't know what this is supposed to mean. This is some schizo shit. All right, cool. Let me see. Good morning, CSESTP. Good morning. Yeah, see, Marnimac bringing up. Candace was saying on that show that she thinks people are brought in as handlers, and I couldn't help think her and Charlie's marriages are very odd, how they met and fall in love. Yeah, she claims that her husband saved her from a lot of this stuff, so I don't know. It's also true. Who knows? We don't know shit about this guy. For all I know, maybe he really was as simple as he grew up and was like, screw you, Dad. I'm not going to be a Zionist. I'm going to work for good, and I'm going to marry a sexy black lady that says base stuff. That's what I'm going to do, Dad. Fuck you. And then he fell through on those dreams. I don't know. Who knows? Or maybe he's just some part of a larger Masonic theater. Who fucking knows? Good morning, everybody. Let me see what else we got. Anything else in here? Boomer says, to be honest, with the influence of internet, we all a little glowy. For sure. Fire Pixie says, my spidey senses go crazy, plus I might have a couple secret sources that I believe. I don't know what you're talking about secret sources. Assuming you have some inside info that we don't know. Marty McFly says there are just tiers of feds now. Obvious tier and Sean Ryan, less obvious but still obvious. Tucker and Candace, sort of obvious. Fuentes, okay. Tony says Kirk was deeply involved in politics as early as 14. Yeah, more to my point. Holy shit. Yeah, I can't imagine caring at all about politics at that age. Yeah, I can't. That's insane. Tom says the idea that Candace Owen is supposed to be Candace's husband is supposed to be her handler, but with her being an obnoxious and he's not able to keep her in line is hilarious to me. That is pretty funny. Marnie says Nick is correct on his takes on geopolitics, but doesn't speak at all to the occult aspects of what they are after. How do you talk Izzy and never mention Kabbalah? Weak sauce, Nick. I don't even think he's necessarily completely correct on his takes on geopolitics. I think he's almost correct. I'm a little bit concerned about his. He said himself he's kind of in support of a lot of this South America stuff. I think we're kind of doing. So I think he has a weird line he's towing there. I'm not exactly sure what it is, but it's concerning. Good morning, Gene Law. It says, look at the governor of Utah. Yeah, that probably would be a good guy to look into one of these days. I'm sure he has an odd past. Comment Mama says, I've heard Webb called out by Kirby Summers. Checked into it, and she does come from generational wealth for what it's worth. Believable. I heard Webb called out. All right, and then I'm assuming you mean George Webb, because then there's Whitney Webb as well. So I'm assuming you mean George. Oh no, you were talking about Whitney. So because Gerald says I follow Kirby and she grifts pretty hard, but yeah, that criticism is accurate. However, Whitney was pretty abused as a kid, so I don't know how much that wealth helped her. Okay. I'm confused. I'm assuming you mean Whitney Webb then, or maybe I'm getting confused. Let me see. What else we got in here? All right, I think we're all caught up. Let's get into the trans shooter. So this is from Andy No. He says, update, the India trans teen who was caught making plans for Valentine's Day 2025 school mass shooting has agreed to plead guilty. Trinity Shockley, used the trans name Dex, is among a large and growing number of trans people who plan or commit mass atrocities. From Andy No. And then Ken says, this Trinity, and he what he shows here is there's an excerpt from some documents. Says Trinity informed me that she believed she was talking to me because of her dad's girlfriend. Trinity believes that she has a warrant for arrest. Trinity advised that her phone number is redacted. Trinity stated that school is okay and that she does not have many friends. She keeps a close circle of friends. Trinity wants to be in the FBI and is planning to attend Ivy Tech for criminology after she graduates in 3 months. She plans to move in with a friend named Redacted. They used to attend school together. Trinity just started a job at Subway. Obviously nothing damning there, but a little interesting. This is a lady who wanted to go to the FBI, and how crazy a turn her life took. Let's read this piece from Ken. It said an 18-year-old Indiana woman who at one point identified as trans has reportedly pled guilty to planning a mass school shooting at a local high school early this year. She is expected to serve about 12 years in prison. WTHR in Mooresville reported in February the local police had received a tip from the FBI about someone who was potentially planning a school shooting on Valentine's Day. During the department's investigation, officers identified the person of interest as Trinity Shockley of Mooresville. WTHR reported the time. Court documents say Trinity is transgender, going by the name Jamie. Court records reportedly state that Shockley sent numerous threatening messages to people on the gaming platform Discord. Those messages included, "I've been planning this for a year," in Parkland Part 2, a reference to the Parkland school shooting where Nicholas Cruz killed 14 students and 3 staff members on February 14th, 2018. Shockley reportedly told police she was joking and would never do that and does not have access to a gun. A law enforcement affidavit further stated that Trinity wants to be in the FBI and is planning to attend Ivy Tech for criminology after she graduates in 3 months. She was arrested anyway. Some 8 months later, WTHR in Indianapolis reported Monday that she will plead guilty to 1 count of conspiracy to commit murder. According to WTHR, her plea deal calls for a 20-year sentence with a cap of 12.5 years in prison and the rest suspended, plus 5 years probation. Shockley must continue mental health treatment and take all prescribed medications, is banned from all Morgan County school properties and school events, cannot research school shooters online, and may not possess any guns, the news outlet added. Shockley's sentencing is reportedly set for November 24th. Shockley represents the latest case of a mentally disturbed teenager plotting a shooting on Discord. Perhaps the most infamous Discord-linked shooting occurred in May 2022 when white supremacist Peyton Gendron killed 10 people at a Buffalo supermarket. Disturbingly, Gendron may have been chatting on Discord with a retired federal agent moment before he killed 10 people at a Buffalo supermarket, according to the Buffalo News. Gendron's shooting was followed by other attacks that had early warning signs on Discord. In January 2024, 17-year-old mass shooter Dylan Butler, who killed a 6th grader, injured 4 others, and fatally shot himself at a school in Iowa, was reported to have been in an extremist Discord chat room. NBC reported days after the discussion that Butler was a member of a Discord group called School Massacres Discussion, which was dedicated to discussing school shootings. According to NBC, another Discord user had notified the FBI about the chat rooms month before the attack. Another Discord-linked shooting occurred some 2 months after the Butler shooting on September 4th, 2024, when 14-year-old Colt Gray opened fire at a Georgia high school and killed 4 people. After Gray's shooting, the FBI admitted that Gray had been on its radar, but insisted there was no probable cause for arrest or to take any additional law enforcement action against the teenager before his shooting spree. About 3 months later, 15-year-old female Natalie Rupnow, who went by the name Samantha, opened fire during a study hall at Abundant Life Christian School in Wisconsin, killing her student and a teacher and wounding 6 others before killing herself. Rupnow's apparent manifesto, which was published on Discord before her shooting, references previous school shooters, including the same ones that apparently infatuated Shockley. Most recently, alleged Charlie Kirk assassin Tyler Robinson was revealed to have been highly active in Discord, though no evidence has been released showing that he plotted there. Discord, for its part, says his platform was not used in the plot to kill Kirk. Though I thought they later changed. Yeah, they did. They said that there was some sort of weird third position they took. But I guess that is it. That not used in the plot is what they're saying. But then they said they tried to. It sounded like at first, I think initially they're making out like that he wasn't on there. If I recall correctly, there was some weirdness there. And I do find it particularly interesting to look at this. So as he pointed out, we went through all these Discord killings. Ken points out this was another one plotted on Discord and discussed with others there. He says, who ran the TCC Mama account and what happened to this person? So let's look through this. Now, this is the following messages between a Jamie and a TCC Mama were provided with a tip to the FBI from a chat application called Discord. It says, Jamie, yeah, I'll be honest, I'm close to shooting mine up. I have an AR-15. TCC Mama, damn, OMD, that's so cool. But wait, do you have a solid plan? For one, this sounds not real at all, but I don't know, whatever, maybe it is. Jamie, Parkland, Part 2, of course, I've been playing this for a year. TCC Mama, you don't plan on killing yourself, right? Jamie, no. TCC Mama, okay, good. Your secret is safe with me, bro. Kids are awful, and if you do carry it out, good luck. Jesus. On February 27th, 2025, Jamie has a conversation with someone called Sasha on Discord. Jamie sends a link with a photo of 10 Magpul AR-15 magazines to Sasha and also says, I'm also buying a bulletproof vest. Jamie then sends a link and a photo to a bulletproof vest and says, like this, TCC Mama, you're going to look great, Vro. I'm assuming he meant bro. Unless Vro means something. Jamie, and like ARs fire 60 ammunition at a time. What? Another conversation occurred with someone named Eric. So it says, guys, best news. It was Jamie. Guys, best news. Me and Redacted are going to have a sleepover. Redacted, my crush. Redacted was named earlier as a potential victim. Jamie, I'm taking Redacted with me. TCC Mama. Redacted. Jamie, my boy best friend. TCC Mama. I don't mean to sound really dumb, but what do you mean you're doing it? Jamie, the shooting. TCC Mama. Oh, okay. And you're still doing the 14th? Jamie, yeah. TCC Mama, so is he going to be joining you in the shooting, or do you plan on killing him too? Jamie, I'm shooting him. TCC Mama, and yourself? Jamie, no. February 10th, 2025. Jamie, 4 more days? TCC Mama, yeah. So this is the interactions back and forth. Now, to be fair, this was someone who got busted, but is this the informant? Maybe it was. I mean, this chick did get busted, so... But now we go down here to the reply as we see BX pop up in here. She says, if you read the whole thing, it's pretty obvious that person was the one who placed the tip. They were milking Shockley for specific info until they had enough to send to the FBI. That person likely saved a lot of lives. Then Ken says, I did read the whole thing, and I don't think it's obvious at all. Trinity first tells TCC Mama about her planned school shooting on January 12th. It seems like the FBI didn't receive a tip until February. BX is likely because Shockley didn't reveal enough info in that first convo to get a warrant. When you read the second convo, it's obvious TCC Mama is trying to get her to say specific things in order to prove the likelihood of getting an EDR, which is a faster turnaround than a standard warrant. And then here's Ken says, I'm close to shooting up my school. I have an AR-15 on January 12th. Parkland, part 2. I've been planning this for a year. Yeah, that's a crime, is what Ken says. So I find this kind of interesting. BX says, but even if TCC Mama wasn't the tipster, that person wasn't goading Shockley into doing anything and didn't commit any crimes. So there'd be no reasonable cause to investigate them. I think BX is honestly kind of making the case that, like, honestly, it sounds like it could have been an informant in there beforehand, which I guess to that, I guess this would be an example of where it worked, I guess. But there's a lot of other examples where that doesn't seem to be the case. But yeah, either way, it is whatever. I mean, I don't know if it is or not. I mean, this ended, but I just do think it's interesting. I'd like to know more. Maybe we will find out more. All right, let's roll to the chat. I have one last thing to go through with you guys. My MKUltra piece, kind of going over into how the whole world's making us crazy, and then going to a very specific example of a couple crazies. Yeah, let's see what all is in the chat. Let's see what all else there is. Justin says another high-profile case with law enforcement and/or military ambitions. Let me see. Tony Chin says, how many feds are tasked with this chat? At least one. Yeah, it does look like it's glowing for sure. Beware of feds. So Marty McFly says, not a fed, just a friendly Syanim, which those who aren't aware, those are the little Jew helpers. That is like what they call them in Israel, which is, I mean, essentially those who would be willing to help out Israeli intelligence is what they are. Marty McFly saying this is the only chat that would even know that word. Yeah. Yeah, that sounds as fake as the Lance and Tyler convo, says Martimac. Yeah, like even the kid's side doesn't sound believable because I don't know, how old was she supposed to be? I guess kids are weird. Well, 15. I don't know. I guess 15 could be a fucking weirdo. I don't know. 15s can be pretty fucking stupid. So maybe, I don't know. That could have been the 15-year-old's believable. The other one's a little weird. Bertardo says the Buffalo shooting was a hit to kill a black dude who just had a patent into the government for a hydrogen combustion engine. Dude was on the local Buffalo News with his F-150 running on water. All right. Perhaps you are correct. I don't know. Gerald says, my best friend's brother-in-law is a Fed that does child trafficking stuff for a 3-letter, and he's a genuinely good person, and he knows what's up, but when he got into it, he had no idea. I'd be interested in talking to that guy for sure. Let me see. Yeah, Martin Max says, wow, either Jamie is mentally retarded or that is completely faked. Yeah, I mean, she is 15, so 15-year-olds are pretty fucking stupid, so I don't know. Pretty hard to say. Good morning, Real John Doe. Good to see you in the chat. Good to see you joining us. Yep, Boba says, watch out, everyone. Jose is getting ready to MKUltra. Justin says, good morning, Justin. I don't think I said morning to you earlier. McVeigh wanted to be a Green Beret. Keith Jesperson, happy face killer, wanted to join the RCMP. All right, I think we're almost all caught up. Marmax says, yeah, I was pretty retarded at 15. Someone's asking if kimchi is real. I do believe kimchi is real. All right, let's get into MKUltra, the MKUltra USA bit I have here. And of course, actually, give me one more moment. I have to fix StreamYard because, of course, the audio went down. Give me a minute. Here we go. I figured we'd kind of start from, actually, no, let's start from here. Actually, I was wrong. I would start from here. This is a post that I had shared a while ago from Appalachian Liberty, and I thought it kind of set the tone on what I want to talk about here pretty well. Actually, I don't think I have it up right now. Here we do. Now I have it up. So he says, below is an interview with a CIA psychologist, John Gittinger. So let's read this real quick. He said, so this is do you follow what I mean? By 1962 and 1963, the general idea that we were able to come up with is that brainwashing was largely a process of isolating a human being, keeping him out of contact, putting him under long stress in a relationship of interviewing and interrogation, and that they could produce any change that way without having to resort to any sort of esoteric means. He said he explains that during MKUltra they found that isolation was the strongest means by which brainwashing of a person could be achieved. This naturally got me thinking that loneliness and isolation are at epidemic levels in today's world. The slightest twinge of boredom and we pull out our phones and check out for an hour. This has a devastating effect on our social lives, real friendships, possible relationships with the opposite sex, and just general society level connection to one's own neighbors and people. We all, myself included, have walked straight into this trap and been cut off from many of our needed in-person connections. We will, of course, tell ourselves that people are difficult and hard to get along with, or that they're boring. But is that really true, or have we just become so reliant on other means of stimulation and distraction that we feel a fake sort of discomfort or pain when interacting with other people? All these mass shooters that arise like an endless Pez dispenser of death, what if they were just normal people like you and me, driven insane and radicalized by a screen? What if just walking across the street and asking your neighbor how their day is going could stop the next major attack? Anyway, something for us all to think about. And I thought that was a pretty nice sentiment, and obviously speaks to kind of the current paradigm and kind of how we're all, in a sense, being MKUltra'd. I also think there's a little bit of a beautiful message and kind of how we're coming together as a community. I don't know how you guys' lives are right now, what it looks like, but I can tell you my life has changed significantly since about 2020, since around the lockdown. That was a huge change. Socially speaking, my life is a lot different. So in some ways it has gone kind of, and while I am kind of a gruff, I mean, I do talk a lot, talk every day to you guys, but you'd be surprised my day-to-day life, pretty quiet guy. Keep to myself, but I guess to some extent that I'm getting my social interaction with you guys, and to some extent there's probably maybe a negative component to that, but also I think there's a positive component. It enables me to more aptly pick and choose who I want to align myself with or engage with, and it's allowing us to find better people. But there is the flip side of the predator class and what they've done to us. But we've kind of we've made chicken salad out of chicken shit, and we've made something out of this, and here we are together destroying the lizard people. But I think there's something beautiful about that, but there is also a cautionary side of it there. And but with that, apes together strong. Let's keep it up. But with that as well, I think there's a little bit of a kind of like a sinister underbelly of the establishment and kind of like, all right, well now what do? They did this. They've more segmented up these people. There is obviously this negative side too, to like as I kind of got at, and I think we're going to kind of touch on that negative side a little bit. Here's Glenn Beck, and let's see what he thinks. Oh my God, you've got to be absolute kidding me! Sorry, that float throws off the flow. Let me fix it up. Of course, streamer hit the bet on me again. Give me a second. Now we're back. All right, now we're doing it. So here's Glenn Beck. Here's him and Jillian Michaels. So let's see where they've been kind of saying on the current paradigm on the right. I think it does play into that topic I was just talking about, and kind of how the social paradigm has shifted in a big way for positive and negative. I mean, we were just talking about that's the 764 type stuff, these school shootings. This is kind of the negative outgrowth that I'm talking about. This kind of this isolation, but through this isolation, I think if we reach for the right things, we can if we reach for the light, we can find some good things. But let's watch this.
On stage, filling in for Charlie right after he died, and I had to go up to a university campus, and I'm sitting there, and there's 3,000 kids, and the majority of them are all cool. They might disagree here and there on different things, but there was a subset in there that was conservative, and it maybe was 5%, that was so unbelievably dangerous in their thinking. I walked off stage and I walked right to my security chief and I said, forget the left. I'm in these crowds all the time, and that's the kind of person that will kill me. We have to be careful. It's just beginning in the right, but it is everywhere in the left. And we're going to run out of time before people just start to say, kill them.
I don't disagree with you. What I do think has to happen is a isolation and a marginalizing of those voices. And
I do find there's a little bit of this conflation of kind of what I was talking about a moment ago between those people and then, let's be real, anti-Israel. And so I do find it particularly rich. Like let's be real, he literally started off with talking about the kind of reaction he got at Kirk's thing. That is kind of what's on his mind here. So I do find it interesting that they conflate the two, and then and to kind of set things, as I started off with this like concept of like isolation. This we some of this is an outgrowth of the isolation of 2020. Like the stuff that I will give him, give him credence towards, or say that there's something to the point you're making. That is from that. I mean, obviously he's trying to shoehorn in something else, but I do find it funny that even if that is the case, then your solution is further isolation. Essentially a breaking off of these voices. So we're going to further isolate this group. And that necessarily will help. Now, I will say, for my purposes, it's kind of like, okay, whatever, keep further making my voice grow and yours die. But whatever, let's keep going.
Not seeing that platformed on major shows, and I'm not for deplatforming, but let him have his own show on his channel. When you put him on big platforms, you're basically saying it's okay. Yeah. And that does worry me a little bit. And again, I hate to do that. I'm not for cancel culture. I wouldn't have him kicked off of YouTube or his own platform ever. But I also think there should be a healthy amount of shame in our culture and going after true racists and true anti-Semites
because they
and
exist.
True bigots. That needs to be condemned. Mm-hmm. And when they act on it, it needs to be severely punished. And those voices need to be isolated and they need to be marginalized. And common sense needs to be rewarded.
All right, so this is where they're at. Also, bear in mind, for those who aren't aware, Jillian had a big old faux pas a while ago. You probably can find the clips on it. I can't remember. I think it might be like her take or something, or that might be the other broad at the beginning of the show. I can't remember. But Jillian was on a show with Anna Kasparian and a couple other chicks that I can't even remember their names, but I don't know, they're okay, I guess. But the two main ones were really Jillian Michaels and Anna Kasparian. And she had this weird storming off moment probably in the last month or so. And I don't know if the podcast is even still going or not because of it, because I don't think she's in anymore. But she had this whole storming off thing because I don't remember what story they were talking about. But I think it's the Kirk stuff. I think they were addressing Kirk's, and I can't remember what specific news it was, but she got upset that there was like the Israel thing. Like, oh, wow, we got blah, blah, blah. And it was like, I swear it was like literally news. So it was weird. And also even then they were literally, I'm pretty sure at that point in time, like they were just reporting on, I believe, Netanyahu. It might have been Netanyahu's response, actually, now I think about it. But so they were just responding how gross this sort of stuff was. Essentially, the point of their thing had nothing to do with that Israel did it or anything like that. And then she got upset. So the point being is she had no room whatsoever to be upset. And she just this weird storming off thing. It was just like, I just don't get why you got to knock out everything. I don't want this show to be good. It was just this smorgasbord of, I don't want to talk about that. And trying to somehow find a moral indignation when there wasn't really one to be had. That's all that was. I mean, it's really hard to even steel man what she was even upset about. So bear that in mind. That is at the background of all this. And also bear in mind when you see these characters that they're not always that great either. There's a lot of manipulation occurring here. For example, Walter Cronkite was on the Epstein flight logs. He boarded a flight in January 12th, 2007. I believe at 91, and took a plane from Newark, New Jersey to St. Thomas in the U.S. Virgin Islands. He was among 8 passengers on board, including Jeffrey Epstein, who's likely hosting the group at one of his 2 private islands, Little St. James and Great St. James, located just off the coast of St. Thomas. So the logs were released as part of a broader package, which also included a full transcript of the committee's September interview with Alex Acosta, the former U.S. attorney who engineered Epstein's controversial 2008 plea deal. So keep in mind these sort of things. Walter Cronkite himself. If it doesn't take a lick and I keep on a ticking or whatever the fucking stupid thing. That guy, like the guy the trusted news and name and news, Walter Cronkite. Yeah, that guy was probably getting domed up on the old Lolita Express by kiddos or I don't know, questionably aged women. Whatever you want to call it. But these are the strings on the puppets behind the scenes. And then one more example of such this before we get into our super deep dark shit. We'll start our descent a little bit now. Apparently, the guy who wrote The Exorcist was a Jesuit school valedictorian and a CIA agent who later became policy branch chief of the U.S. Air Force Psychological Warfare Division. The book and the subsequent film came out as MKUltra experimentation as it was ongoing, but certainly there was no vested interest in pushing the concept of demonic possession into mass public consciousness at that time, right? This is a True Stream Media that I was sharing this from. Just gave them a follow. And they have, here's an excerpt right here. Here's a article right here. It says The Exorcist CIA script, question mark. It says one of the most widely advertised and popular but least understood films to reach the mass audiences in several years is The Exorcist, based on a novel by William Blatty. Some background on the author and his techniques in the book and film tend to explain the effect of Blatty's work on a mass audience. After graduating from Georgetown University, where the campus scenes in the movie were shot, Blatty worked for the CIA in Lebanon in the 1950s under U.S. Information Agency cover. Later, he returned to Washington to become policy branch chief of the Psychological Warfare Division of the U.S. Air Force. As such, his job involved the military's promotion of popular anti-communist sentiment around McCarthyism at home and Cold War foreign policy abroad. Example of the work carried out by psychological warfare in U.S. foreign policy is the orchestrated exodus of Catholics from North to South Vietnam in the mid-50s. In collaboration with Dr. Tom Dooley, whom Blatty quotes in his book and others, an extensive campaign was carried out by the Catholic Relief Service, local Catholic leaders, and an American psychological warfare team combined to drive peasants south of the DMZ by telling them the Virgin Mary has departed from the north and Christ has gone to the south. Amateur as this appears now, the mass flight was admittedly the result of an extensive, well-conducted, and in terms of its objective, very successful American psychological warfare operation. In this post-60s era, when a majority of youth on and off campus display a frustration with or an abandonment of traditional political protest activities, moving going has enjoyed a sharp rise. This atmosphere has created a mass audience, one without specific political or spiritual direction and ripe for the suggestions which the exorcist carries. The techniques used by Blatty in his Exorcist were well honed by years of practice in the government business. While in the 50s, crude psychological warfare could be foisted on naive groups, Mr. Blatty's sophisticated talents have several messages in the mid-70s. Social conscience and faith in our own identity is eclipsed by the threat of infestation by demonic forces, the devil. Or to quote Father Marin in his central role as the priest exorciser, I think the demon's target is not the possessed, it is us, the observers, every person in this house. And I think the point is to make us despair, to reject our own humanity, to see ourselves as ultimately bestial, as ultimately vile and putrescent, without dignity, ugly, unworthy. And there lies the heart of it, perhaps, its worthlessness. For I think belief in God is not a matter of reason at all. I think it finally is a matter of love, of accepting the possibility that God could love us. Political activism is attacked by one of the main characters, Chris McNeil, who condemns a campus demonstration by saying, "It's dumb. This scene is absolutely dumb. Her mind, though untutored, never mistook slogans for truth, and so the rebel cause to her was dumb. It didn't make sense. How come?" She wondered. Generation gap, that's a crock. I'm 32. It's just plain dumb, that's all. It is Blatty's message, then, that spiritual fixation and religious orthodoxy are, in the final analysis, at the service of political reaction. For religion, activated as a mass response to externally conceived threat, can be a powerful ideological cement to keep the masses spellbound in a time of profound social crisis. For Blatty, the lessons of the 1955 Vietnam campaign have not been forgotten. Only the place and time have changed. So keep in mind, when this thing dropped, the role that it played in the public consciousness is kind of interesting. But all right, guys, we're wrapping and we're coming near to the end here. We're going to get into our two killers for today. I'm straight up reading straight from Wikipedia for this one. Like I said, a little bit of homework for tonight's episode. I've read a Program to Kill a few times, so I've read on these guys, but I figured let's go through the official narrative, the Wikipedia version, I guess you could say, and then we'll, for the patrons, I think tonight we'll be doing the actual episode, and we'll apply more of a Program to Kill type of thesis to the summation, as opposed to just kind of flat Wikipedia. But we'll go through this together. We'll go through at least Leonard's. Maybe we'll go through Charles, but they were a duo, a serial killer duo, so their stories kind of overlap anyways. But we'll start with Leonard since he's the main character, essentially. He was also known as Leonard Hill and a variety of other aliases, was an American survivalist and serial killer. During the mid-'80s, Lake and his accomplice, Hong Kong-born Charles Nigg, which I'm probably spelling it wrong or saying it wrong, but whatever, raped, tortured, and murdered an estimated 11 to 25 victims at a remote cabin near Wilseyville, California, 150 miles east of San Francisco. Upon being arrested on unrelated charges in 1985, Lake swallowed cyanide pills that he had sewn into his clothing and died 4 days later. Human remains, videotapes, and journals found at his cabin later confirmed Nigg's involvement and were used to convict Nigg on 11 counts of capital murder. Early life. Leonard Lake was born in San Francisco, California, the first of 3 children to Elgin Leonard Lake and Gloria May Williams. Lake's parents divorced when he was 6 years old, and their second marriage produced 2 half-sisters. Siblings moved in with a maternal grandma after the divorce. Lake was reportedly a bright child, but developed an obsession with porn after habitually photographing his sister's nude, which his grandmother apparently encouraged. Lake allegedly killed mice by dissolving them in chemicals. In the same manner, he would later dispose of his victims' corpses and became fascinated with the idea of holding women captive after reading the John Fowles novel, The Collector, in his teens. After attending Balboa High School, he enlisted in the Marine Corps in 1964, served 2 tours of duty during the Vietnam War as a radar electronics technician. During this period, he was first diagnosed with schizoid personality disorder. After what was termed a delusional breakdown in Da Nang, Lake received psychotherapy and in 1971 a medical discharge. Lake settled in San Jose and enrolled at San Jose State University, but dropped out after one semester upon becoming enamored of San Francisco's hippie community. He moved to a commune in San Francisco and married briefly in 1969. The marriage dissolved, however, after his wife discovered that he was making and appearing in amateur pornographic movies, usually involving bondage or sadomasochism. For the next 8 years, Lake lived in the Greenfield Ranch, a 5,600-acre back-to-land settlement near Calpella, north of Ukiah. In 1975, he met and eventually married Clarilyn Balaz, nicknamed Cricket, who accepted Lake's fantasies and appeared in many of his pornographic films. Lake's growing fear of impending nuclear holocaust prompted him to begin construction of a bunker on the settlement grounds until the owner of the property became aware of the project and ordered it halted. Now, the murders. Lake met Charles Nigg, a former Marine originally from Hong Kong, in 1980 or 1981. Sources claim the two met through an advertisement. Lake, by that time, managing a Philo motel, had placed in Survivalist magazine, which I find that particularly interesting. I bring up all the time when I would try to describe what the occult is. The examples in Eye of the Chicken Hawk of how they were using kind of the back pages of magazines to essentially, to promote their degeneracy. Like kind of like buy a boy instead like using some sort of code or something. Nigg escaped from a military prison and following a conviction for weapons theft and stayed at Lake's motel, eventually moving into a house along with Lake and Balaz. Several witnesses testified that Lake was a domineering figure in the relationship. Nigg stated that he looked up to Lake like a brotherly, fatherly figure. In April 1982, police arrested Lake and Nigg on weapons charges. Nigg was returned to Fort Leavenworth to complete his sentence. Lake jumped bail. Keep in mind, these guys are both Marines, or were. One of these guys is literally getting military stuff, so I'm assuming he was in some sort of state of military. I mean, maybe it could have been like that, like those years after your contract where you're technically, like you're in that like stop-loss period, maybe that. But either way, I think for him to be in military prison would indicate this guy was in military at that time, so I think that's interesting. All right. Anyways, in July 1984, Nigg rejoined Lake and his wife after he completed his sentence had been discharged. He first stayed in an apartment rented by one of Lake's sisters before moving into an apartment on Lenox Way in San Francisco that autumn. Meanwhile, Lake moved into a remote cabin near Wilseyville owned by his in-laws. Next to the cabin, he built a structure described in his journals as a dungeon. Over the next year, Lake and Nigg began a pattern of kidnapping and murdering men, women, and children. These crimes became known as the Miranda Murders, named after a character in The Collector, the book that inspired Lake. According to court records, Lake and Nigg killed the men and infants immediately, but subjected women to a period of enslavement, rape, and torture before killing them. Lake is known to have committed several murders without the assistance of Nigg, and wrote in his journal that Nigg was initially very hesitant to get involved with the plan. I do think it's interesting how the women were enslaved for a period, or enslaved, raped, and tortured before killing them. Kind of makes me wonder, well, were there other things happening to them? All right, we're not going to go through all the victims. We'll go through the arrest, suicide, and aftermath. On June 2nd, 1985, Nigg was caught shoplifting a vice from a hardware store in South San Francisco and fled on foot, throwing the vice into the trunk of a brown Honda. Lake attempted to pay for the vice, but by then police had arrived. Officers noticed that Lake bore no resemblance to the photo on his driver's license, which carried the name of Robin Scott Stapley, a San Diego man reported missing by his family several weeks earlier. Lake was arrested after a gun equipped with a prohibited silencer was found in the trunk of his vehicle, a 1980 Honda Prelude, and was later positively identified via fingerprint search. At the station, Lake was placed in an interrogation room where he was given a pen, paper, and a glass of water. Short time later, a detective entered the room to conduct an interview and found Lake violently convulsing the floor and appeared to be extremely panicked, showing signs of asphyxia. The notepad contained a brief suicide note. At the hospitals determined that he swallowed cyanide pills he had sewn into his clothes. Lake never regained consciousness and died on June 6th. The license plate on Lake's car was registered to Lonnie Bond, but its VIN was registered to Paul Costner, who had disappeared from San Francisco in November 1984. A utility bill in the car led detectives under the command of San Francisco Police Homicide Lieutenant Gerald McCarthy to the property in Wilseyville, where they found Stapley and Bond's trucks in the dungeon. In a makeshift burial site nearby, police unearthed over 40 pounds of burned and crushed human bone fragments from at least 11 bodies. They also found a hand-drawn treasure map, leading them to 2 buried 5-gallon buckets. One contained an envelope with names and identifications, suggesting the total number of victims might have been as high as 25. The other contained Lake's handwritten journals for 1983 and 1984 and 2 videotapes documenting the torture of 2 of their victims. On one of the tapes, labeled M Ladies, Nig is seen telling Brenda O'Connor as he cuts her shirt off with a knife, "You can cry and stuff like the rest of them, but it won't do any good. We are pretty cold-hearted, so to speak." In another part of the tape, Kathleen Allen is seen seated in a chair with Lake warning her, "If you don't go along with us, we'll probably take you into the bed, tie you down, rape you, shoot you, and bury you." In other words, Deborah Dubbs is shown being assaulted so severely that she could not have survived. Lake's ex-wife, Claire Lynn Ballas, cooperated with investigators and received legal immunity from prosecution. Court records say that Ballas turned over weapons and other material to authorities during the investigation. She was called as a key witness in Nig's trial in 1999. In a surprise move, Nig's lawyer, William Kelly, dismissed Ballas without asking any questions. Kelly later declined to explain his actions. Ballas was on the witness stand for a few minutes as Kelly read sections of her immunity agreement. Ballas had been expected to shed light on what happened inside the mountain cabin that her parents owned and rented to her and Lake. Nig, who had never obtained U.S. citizenship, was captured in a department store in Calgary, Alberta on July 6, 1985. The store security guard suspected him of shoplifting. In the ensuing confrontation, Nig shot the security guard. Though wounded, the security guard disarmed and detained Nig until police arrived. Nig served 4.5 years in a Canadian prison and tried to fight extradition to the U.S. on the grounds that he would be subject to capital punishment. In 1991, he was extradited to California, where he was indicted on 12 counts of first-degree murder. Despite the video evidence and the information in Lake's diaries, Nig maintained that he was merely an observer and that Lake planned and committed all the kidnappings, rapes, and murders unassisted. February 1999, Nig was convicted of 11 of the 12 homicides, 6 men, 3 women, and 2 male infants. Jurors deadlocked on the 12th charge, the murder of Paul Costner, but Nig was sentenced to death. The presiding judge noted Mr. Nig was not under any duress, nor does the evidence support that he was under the domination of Leonard Lake. As of July 2024, Nig was incarcerated at California Medical Facility. The last execution in California was in 2006. In 2019, Governor Gavin Newsom signed an executive order placing a moratorium on the death penalty in California. So this guy's still alive and has not been killed and probably won't be killed. Let's go through the early life, and we'll start the early life and his time in the Marines for Charles Nig to just get a little bit of a flavor from his perspective, because I find him interesting, even though he doesn't tend to take center stage in the telling of the story. This is Charles Chi Tat Nig, a Hong Kong-born convicted serial killer who committed numerous crimes in the U.S. He's believed to have raped, tortured, and murdered between 11 and 25 victims with his accomplice Leonard Lake at Lake's cabin in Calaveras County, California, 60 miles from Sacramento between 1983 and 1985. After his arrest and imprisonment in Canada on robbery and weapons charges, followed by a lengthy dispute between Canada and the U.S., Nig was extradited to California, tried and convicted of 11 murders. He is currently on death row at California Medical Facility. Early life. He was born as Nig Chi Tat in British Hong Kong, the youngest of 3 children and only son of a wealthy Hong Konger executive and his wife. As a child, Nig was harshly disciplined and abused by his father. As a teenager, he was described as a troubled loner and was expelled from several schools. After his arrest for shoplifting at age 15, he went, at his father's insistence, to Bentham Grammar School, a boarding school in North Yorkshire, England. Not long after arriving, Nig was expelled for stealing from other students and returned to Hong Kong. Nig moved to the United States on a student visa in 1978 and studied biology at the College of Notre Dame in Belmont, California. He dropped out after 1 semester. Soon after, he was involved in a hit-and-run accident, and to avoid prosecution, he enlisted in the U.S. Marine Corps. He joined the Marines in October 1975 with the help, he claimed, of a recruiting sergeant and false documents attesting to his birthplace as Bloomington, Indiana. After less than a year of service, he was arrested by military police for stealing automatic weapons from the Kaneohe Bay Base Armory. Facing court-martial, he escaped custody in 1980 and made his way back to Northern California, where he met Leonard Lake. 1982. Authorities raided the mobile home Nig and Lake shared in Ukiah, seizing a large stash of illegal weapons and explosives. Lake was released on bond, but he jumped bail and hid at a remote cabin owned by his wife, Clarilyn Balas, in Wilseyville, a community in Calaveras County located in the foothills of the Sierra Nevada. Nig was captured and returned to Marine custody and pled guilty to the charges of theft and desertion. Under the terms of this plea deal, he was paroled and dishonorably discharged in 1984 after serving 18 months in the military stockade at the U.S. Disciplinary Barracks at Fort Leavenworth. All right, so that's all of it. We went through it all today. That's all. That's all we got, folks. There's actually one thing I did want to mention as we were going through it. I meant to shoehorn it in to this kind of like a community talk. I don't know. Let me know. I don't know if it's in the chat or comments or DMs or whatever. I'd be curious to kind of get an idea if there's any of you guys in the LA area. The reason why I asked is I might actually make a pop up into LA in a couple months. I was talking to Austin about the other day. Maybe we might try to see if we can't hit up Sammy T. So maybe we could do like a studio thing or something. It would just be for like a day. The reason why is I actually have a deliver for those ever interested in getting a kitty. I do deliver, and you can get it hand delivered by me. I mean, you got to pay for it. We're not going to do that for free. But occasionally we do have clients that will pay for us to deliver, and we have one that I think might be having me delivered to LA, so I'll probably have to fly in for a day and fly back just to bring them their kitty cat. But might make a stop in LA, and I know when Austin was over here in Florida, I know we had a little kind of get together with some people. I think it was just onesie twosie, just a couple people we met up there. So if there's anyone in the LA area, maybe we could put something together. That could be fun. I think it'd be cool to do a meetup or something along those lines. But I don't know, hit me up if we do have a large LA group. Maybe we can make something happen. And I mean, between LA and kind of roughly the Tampa area, those are kind of like, I guess, as the already dead community is kind of based out of, I guess, between me and Austin. So I don't know, between those two hubs, we should start maybe doing shit or something. But with that, guys, though, if you want to support the show, leave a like, share, subscribe, comment, leave a 5-star review on iTunes or Spotify. All of these things are steps that go a long way. If you want to find this show, it's on YouTube, it's on Rumble, it's on all the major audio podcatchers. It's also on X as well. You can follow me on Twitter at TowerGangJose. And if you want to support me in the best way you really can, you can do that with money. Up here, we have a QR code, or you can go to patreon.com/NoWayJose2020. The lowest level is $2. That's where it gives you access to early episodes. I do about 1 to 2 of those a week, typically. Keep about 4 behind the paywall at any given time. You also get access to ad-free RSS feed. You get access to the Telegram, and you get access to the pre-show, post-show, and to the video call stuff for me and Austin's weekly live call-in show, Already Dead, which is on Tuesdays at 9:30 p.m. Eastern. I also give a big shout-out to my sponsors, the sponsor level of my patrons, as a big thank you for their support. At the end of every episode, I have my previous co-hosts on Tower Gang, at Learn to Toad, also at Abrogate D's, at ZOVRCK, at _Invisiel, Tim Tuttle, at John Allen Klebold, Will Bell's Delicious Boo Bear Rabbit on Wine, big fan of the show, Torn May, at Wayne Tagless, 1-800-CARS for Kids, No Free Lunch, Jack, and Mark Vestibule. As you can tell, some of those are just funnies too, so you can always, if you ever are interested, you always can just, if there's something you think would be funny for me to say, or plug, or whatever, give me $20, and I guess worst case scenario, if it's bad enough, I'll tell you no, and you can keep your $20, but yeah, pretty much just about anything within reason. So if that's something you're interested in, also just to explain if I ever say any crazy stuff, that's not me, that's the sponsors. But you throw me $20 and I'll say the words. I don't give a shit. But that's patreon.com/NoWayJose2020. I'll see you guys tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern. Be sure to hit that like button on your way out. Do all the things. Enjoy this outro. I hope this gives you some laughs. What do we got for today? What do we have lined up? Oh, this is a fun one. This is what Bob Dylan sounds like to those of us who don't like Bob Dylan. I would actually push back on this, and I'd say this is just what Bob Dylan sounds like. So enjoy this, guys. I'll see you all tomorrow. Love you. Bye-bye.
Hey,